Hello and welcome to Databricks Architect Zero to Hero series. It's day 4 and today I'll teach you Databricks High-Level Architecture. Alright, let's get started. So Databricks High-Level Architecture is quite simple. If you just get these two things right, control plane and compute plane. So Databricks High-Level Architecture can be divided into these two planes. If you get these two planes right, you've understood the architecture of Databricks. And don't worry, I won't bore you with the theory, but I'll show you the practicals as well. So in a minute, I'll take you to the browser and show you the control plane and compute plane in action. All right. So, but before that, let's understand the concepts here. So, the control plane is this towards your left hand side of your screen, which allows you to do more of an admin sort of an activities. So, you can access control plane when web application, which I'll show you in a minute, and then once you access your control plane, you can do admin activities like you can enable Unity Catalog. What Unity Catalog is, I'll show you in the upcoming slides, and but I'll also dive deep into Unity Catalog in the upcoming videos. But the point here is you can enable Unity Catalog on control plane, and you can do compute orchestration, and you can set policies, you can see your billing, so on and so forth. So more of an admin sort of activities you can do on the control plane. All right, and the control plane sits in your Databricks account. But compute plane is where the real work happens, where the real magic happens. This is where you ingest data, you process data, you visualize your data in the form of graphs and charts. And if you want to sell your data as a product, you can do as well that as well. Where delta sharing, you can train ML models and access generative AI capabilities as well. So the real work happens in the compute plane, and you can access compute plane where your Databricks workspace. Okay, in the previous video I've shown what the workspace is and how it looks like, but I'll show in this video as well in the form of a demo. So please do watch this video till the end. Okay, so control plane and the compute plane, these are two important things that you need to understand in order to understand the Databricks high level architecture. Okay, here is another thing that talks about it. So the great divide, control versus compute. Control plane is like your manager where you can access backend services, your web app, and you can set instructions, so on and so forth. This is like your manager or an administrator where you can administer your entire Databricks environment. But the compute plane is the where the magic happens, the worker, where the data is processed, where you train your ML models, you ingest data, you transform your data, so on and so forth. Okay. Before I proceed ahead, one thing that I want to inform here is this: Databricks as a data platform can be deployed onto any of these cloud platforms that you see in your screen, AWS, Azure, and GCP. But for the purpose of this video and the purpose of this video series, I'll be explicitly focusing on Azure Databricks. But the concepts that you learn in this tutorial, in this video, remain same no matter which cloud platform you use. The UI might different, but the concepts will remain the same. Okay, so Azure Databricks account is a top level construct that you use to manage your Azure Databricks across your organization. So it's like a top level construct that you use to manage what you can do at the account level. The question is, what can you do at the account level? So what you do is you manage identity and access for your users, groups, service principals, and user provisioning. Okay, and then you also do workspace management, like you can create, update, delete workspace across multiple regions, and then you can also manage your Unity catalog metastores. So what metastores are, I'll show that in a minute, but you can do this as well in your account console. You can create and attach metastores to your workspaces. This is when Unity catalog gets enabled. Okay, and you can also do usage management like billing, compliance, and policies, so on and so forth. So that's these are things that you can do at the account level. So an account can contain multiple workspaces and Unity catalog metastores. Okay, multiple workspaces across different regions in your company can be seen at the account level, and I'll show that as well in a minute to you in the form of practical UI. Okay, and then the question is, what are workspaces then? Workspaces are the collaboration environments where users, yourself or your users, can run compute workloads such as ingestion, interactive exploration, schedule jobs, and ML training. Okay, and then you can also then the other question is, what is Metastore? What is Unity catalog Metastore? So Metastore is a central governance system for data assets such as tables and ML models. So metastores basically allow you to govern your data, like you organize data in a metastore under a three level namespaces. Okay, so that's enough of theory. Now let's move to the browser and look things in a practical way. All right, so we are on the browser. As you can see on your screen, we are on the browser, and here is a workspace that I have created on Azure with the name Databricks Workspace for Demo. And here is a UI. So this is the compute plane where you can do your work. You can, as you can see on your screen, you can ingest data here in the form of data engineering. You get data here, and then you can get data from any of these sources. And once you get data, you can transform your data, okay, leveraging uh, runs here. And then um, and what you can also do is you can go to SQL editor here to query your data. Okay, you can go to SQL editor to query your data. And then if there are any queries that are frequently used, then you can save as well, and they'll be visible here in the queries section. As of now, you might notice the, the things are pretty clean here. It's pretty empty, but I'll show you things in practical way as and when we move ahead in this video series. Okay, so the point that you need to get and understand here is this is a compute plane where you can access all of Databricks capabilities, right? Like delta sharing, SQL editor, SQL warehouses, your lake houses, so on and so forth. So this is the compute plane where the real work happens. But here is the control plane. Okay, the control plane is this, where where you can see all the workspaces in your company and in the region that they're residing in. For example, the Databricks for Demo workspace that I created is residing in the South India region. Right now, it's not attached to a Metastore, as you can see, but I'll do that in the future videos. So, and then you can also see metastores here. I've not created any metastores here. That's the reason you don't see any, but you can do from here as well. And you can also track your usage from here. You can manage users like service principals, users, and groups. And then you can set security settings as well. So hope you've understood this is the control plane, and that was the compute plane. And now let's recap. The control plane manages the order. If I give you another analogy to understand this better, control plane is like it manages the orders in a restaurant. It's like inside, it sits inside your Azure Databricks account, vendor side, Databricks side. The function is it delivers the interface and manages instructions. The account console URL you can access via this URL. And the role that you need in order to access your control plane is account admin. You need account admin permission to access your control plane or the account console. Okay, so control plane is also called account console. And for the first time, you need to be a global admin within Databricks within Azure Entra ID in order to be able to access the control plane. Now, the compute plane is like, if you get this analogy right, the compute plane is like the cooks the meal. It cooks the meal. The function where your data is processed. The code runs here. So within the compute plane, there are two types of compute options that you have got. One is classic compute. So the classic, if you go for this option, the compute resources sit in your subscription. In this case, it sits in your Azure subscription. But if you go for serverless compute, the compute plane or the compute resources sits in your Databricks account, so you don't need to worry about it. Databricks manages all the compute for you, scaling up and scaling down based on the demand. So you need to take that choice as you decided. I'll be creating a separate video explaining the architecture choices that you need to take, or the considerations that you need to take into account while deciding should your company go for a classic compute or serverless compute in the upcoming videos. So the workspace URL can be accessed, or it looks something like this. And the role that you need in order to access your compute plane or your workspace is workspace admin. All right. So another analogy, the last one, the think of compute control plane as the headquarters, or the account as the account console as the headquarters, where you manage metastores, manage billing and usage, you do identity and access management. So your account console or the compute control plane allows you to scale with for multi workspaces in multi region. Okay. Whereas another thing that you need to understand is this: with the multiple workspaces are visible in your account console. Okay, so you can manage multiple workspaces, maybe in hundreds or probably thousands based on the limit Databricks allows in your account console. And these workspaces are attached to your Metastore, and there can only be one Metastore in a region. Okay, remember, if you have created a Metastore in, let's assume, in East US, then you can only have one Metastore there. You cannot store multiple Metastores there. And then the workspace is the lamp. um, this is a collaboration environment. um, it allows you to do activities like ingestion, exploration, schedule jobs, so on and so forth. And the scope is regional. You can create delayed workspaces across regions. So here is another slide talking about details of compute plane. So compute plane, the one architecture type is where your compute plane sits in your Azure subscription. Okay, the resources run your subscription, natural isolation. Okay, you manage your compute. Okay, that's the compute plane, one architecture type. The other architecture type is where your compute plane sits in your Databricks account. So resources run the in the Databricks account, zero infrastructure management for you. So you don't need to manage the infra. Databricks manages it for you, both scaling up and scaling down based on the demand. All right. So and then since the in the serverless, the compute plane sits in your Databricks account. There are a few things that Databricks does it for you to ensure that you have highest level of security. One is network boundary. So there are strict perimeters around the workspace resources. Okay, and then isolation, multi-layer security between different customers, and then controls, additional traffic controls between clusters. So what Databricks does for you is it puts in place additional traffic controls between clusters to ensure that your data is safe. Okay, and then workspace storage. So this storage is the storage that Databricks Workspace use to store system logs and Unity catalog logs. It's not, it doesn't store your actual data here, but it stores the logs. So in case of a classic compute, this storage is in your Azure subscription. Okay, but whereas in case of your serverless compute, it's at again at a managed storage within Databricks ecosystem. So classic uses your storage account that is in your subscription, whereas serverless uses managed default storage. Okay. Now moving on, what is Unity Catalog then? So as I said, create a separate video diving deep into Unity Catalog. But for the purpose of this video, I just want to give you a heads up as to what Unity Catalog is. So Unity Catalog, in a nutshell, allows you to govern your data. You can do things like track your data, that's called data lineage. You can manage your data quality management, and so on and so forth. So that's what Unity Catalog essentially does. So the Metastore is a key element here. So when you link Metastore to your workspace, that's when Unity Catalog get enabled, and then it provides a unified data view across the region. All right, so here is a complete architecture in a nutshell again. So Unity Catalog